So relationships are very difficult, especially some of the more intimate, closer ones. Relationships at work, at school, at home, those can be a challenge. But the ones that you have more emotional attachment, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife kind of relationship, they can be much more difficult, especially when you have a kind of falling out. I just had a son that had some difficulties in a relationship and dating. And so let's say you're watching this because you just broke up with a girlfriend, you broke up with her, or she broke up with you. What would I say? I'd say, great job. If you broke up with her, I think you're taking the next step. It's a good thing. There's probably a reason to do what you did. If she broke up with you, I think also it's a good thing. Good riddance. Move on. It wasn't meant to be. But emotionally, it's not that easy. And I understand. I'm not trying to minimize your pain. I know it's just some of that kind of pain that we experience in our life, some of the greatest pain that we face, that relationship based pain, breaking up. It's almost very similar to the grief you go through when you suffer the loss of someone that has died in your life. It's very similar to that. And I know how that feels. It's like suddenly you realize all the future plans you have this person. Maybe you have future plans of uh, eventually getting married, going on vacations together, retiring together, growing old together, having kids together. And suddenly it's a little cold in here. Sorry, nose is running a little bit. But all that vanished. All of it changed. So what do you do now? Well, number one, there's two things just to start with. Number one, make a clean break. You know, decide not to be friends. Unless you have children together, don't text this person 100 times a day. Don't email this person. Don't drive past their work or friends' home or her friends' houses. Make that clean break. Number two, resist resist trying to get even, to get back. Online revenge, bad mouthing, posting things that are inappropriate, talking, gossiping with her friends, your friends, negative stuff. Do not build a negative cloud of crap around yourself by trying to seek some sort of getting even or revenge. You're upset, you're angry, you're disappointed, you're frustrated, can't sleep, can't eat. In some cases, doing that kind of stuff will not help you and will not help people around you. So, is it this pain that you're feeling? Could it be a good thing? Maybe you're starting to see reality better. Maybe she never really cared about you. She just cared about the things that you provided. So, if that's the case, why should you be upset about losing something you really never ever had in the first place? And a lot of times, this pain can be a good thing. It can point us back to God. He's the only one that will never leave you. It's like almost sometimes in life, he will hit the reset button. Hey, you're focused too much on this. You've got your base, your foundation built upon this relationship being something that's not. God is our center. Relationship with Jesus is our foundation. A lot of times we seek to have or to find a fulfillment in life, um, and it's like I don't know if you guys ever got involved with some of those old Atari games. I know growing up, we had a number of these games. Uh, they were cheap entertainment. Well, at the time probably wasn't really super cheap, but high tech stuff. And it's like this old um, game, Missile Command, I think is what it was called. And the object of the game, you as the player were defending your bases. You got three bases here, and as these computer-generated missiles were coming down, it was your job to defend yourself by placing these explosives in air to get rid of these missiles, incoming missiles. But it's almost like if you turn it around in life, It's like we're sending out these missiles to try to have some impact on our base, to have some fulfillment. And it's like maybe we start by saying, hey, I can feel some sort of fulfillment if I can have, this missile be a successful business. I become wealthy. I have lots of money. I want for nothing. I have this fulfillment. It's like I'm starting a second creation. I built this thing. Um, and then there's a huge explosion and it's disintegrated, and it's, even if it's very successful, a lot of people will find if that's their base foundation, it doesn't satisfy. Let's say you decide, well, I'm going to decide to get married, have a serious girlfriend. With this marriage, I'm going to have children, and everything's going to be great. That's going to be my foundation. I'm all set. I'm going to send this missile in. Then things blow up, and you find out your whole world, since you based your whole world on this thing, just kind of exploded. Maybe it's part of this marriage. I think sex will do it. That'll give me this, if I have sex 5 times a week, and that'll give me the fulfillment I want, and I will want for nothing else. Maybe it's this missile I send in to try to find that deep fulfillment and friends and family. And it doesn't take a lot. If you base your whole life and fulfillment on that, you won't have that really that you want. The only way that you can have lasting peace and happiness is to make God that base. He's the only one that will never leave you. He will never break up with you. Of course, you can break up with him. He will never break up with you, though. He's always waiting for you to return to him. Turn back. Make him your focus, your center. Return to him. Use the pain that you're experiencing right now in building that relationship with him. He gives the water, that living water that fills you up, that you never thirst again. He's the one. Seek that, to have that oneness with him, to have that feeling that you're at home, you're loved, you're wanted, he's approved the way that you're living your life. If he was here personally living your life for you, he would do the same things you're doing. He will fill that emptiness if you're living that way. There can be no other substitute. If you want to talk more, let's talk more about life. There's a lot of things that we can do, like I said, about fulfilling those needs in life. And it's not just about existing. I want to just exist in life. I go to work, I eat, maybe I get some exercise, come home, and I repeat the cycle. Life is not about just existing. It's about growth. And what should you expect when you're growing? It requires pain. Thank him for it. Ask him for more of it. Why do you go to the gym? Do you go to the gym to find the lightest weights you can find and just kind of, do a couple reps and call it good? And some people do it maybe it's more of a social thing. But if you want the growth, if you want to improve yourself, get stronger, get more fit, you have to push yourself, and pushing means you have pain. So that physical pain is a good thing. But for some reason, we have a very difficult time taking that same mental process and converting it over to emotional growth and building a character. A lot of times you feel like you've been through a war, some of the relationships you've had. And a lot of times after a war, all of the high-ranking officials and officers gather together in a room to discuss what went right. What did you do right? If we won the battle, how did we win? If we lost the battle, why did we lose? How do we improve? What did we learn in the process? So have you had this kind of discussion with yourself? I broke up, she broke up with me. What did I learn? Are there things I could have done differently? Or things I learned about the woman that I want to be with long term? make yourself better because of the experience. But if we go back to this feeling of pain, to break it down very simply, is to feel either the sweet or the bitter pain. A lot of times, as you grow and learn, you'll recognize it's better to feel the pain long term and grow from it, as long as you're using it wisely. Don't waste some good pain. Everyone loves going to the gym and getting pumped up and feeling that pain, but we don't like feeling that in our personal lives. In Isaiah, he talked about something very interesting. He talked about these two polar opposites. In Isaiah 7:14 through 16, he says, he prophesies about Jesus coming. He says, "Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." Now, talking about even the Lord's process of learning and growing. In 15, he says, "He will eat curds and honey in order that he may know to refuse evil and good." Like, isn't it interesting? He, in that verse, relates good and evil with sweet honey and curds, which have kind of a bitter taste. Bitter, curds in a way, kind of like cottage cheese these days. So, as a child, if you were, if you had a child in a high chair and you set these two foods in front of them, cottage cheese on one side and the honey on the other, of course, they would want the sweet. But as you grow up and learn, you actually learn that there's more nutrition involved with eating that bitter than the sweet. If you eat nothing but honey all of the time, you're going to have health problems. You're going to be diabetic. You're not going to be able to, body's not going to get what it needs. And you're going to have problems. And long term, it doesn't satisfy you, but if you eat nothing but curds, you're going to be big and strong. It's going to satisfy that natural, the nutritional needs. So likewise, the gospel teaches us to seek things that are better, that are bitter, and put an emphasis on the things that are better versus the sweet. So it's a good pain versus the sweet, bitter and sweet. So when someone's spiritually mature, they will recognize there's value in the pain. And maybe even they start to prefer that. The good times are more of a challenge than the difficult, painful times. I remember years ago before I was married, I was talking to this guy and his wife in their living room. He was sitting on this old couch, and I was telling him about the woes I was experiencing in dating and the difficulties it presented, kind of the bitter and the sweet. That time I really didn't have any sweet, didn't have anyone in my life. But I was sitting on this old couch and he was telling me, he started to relate, he made an analogy with his couch. And he was talking about his old couch and how it was worn out and dated and awful, the food stained, and springs are all messed up. And he said dating is very frustrating. It's like this old couch. Basically, if you don't experience that greater pain of that old couch, how would you have greater joy when you find that better person? You might go through 100 people trying to figure out which is the right person for you. But it's like that old couch. If someone came and gave you that brand new couch, had the nice leather, power recliners, cup holders, power connections for your phone, all that fancy stuff, just gave it to you, plopped it in your living room, would you have really the value of what that couch was like? You need that experience to value what you've been given. The amount of joy you receive is determined by the price you pay for it. If you pay nothing, you don't value it, you don't know what you have. So the longer you go trying to look for that person, more price that you pay, the better it is for you. And then during our discussion with this guy, I said, well, at least you have a couch. I don't have anything, value in my life when it comes to that kind of relationship. And he didn't say anything. I don't know if he knew what to say. But now I would say, if you said that to me, I would say two things. Some couches are so bad that it would be better for you to sit on the ground, concrete floor, than to have an old couch like that. Give you more support. I mean, some old couch is so bad they give you no support, give you back problems. Number two, that old couch would stop you from finding someone or something better. It'd become like a placeholder. Placeholders are bad. They stop you from finding that better person. Well, it's good enough. I'm going to stay here. It's just too hard. This person's good enough. If you are in that situation, praying that magically this will change, you can persuade, you can invite, you can have patience and love, but no magic's going to change it. They have to change that on their own. So if you have an old couch, it's not going to change. It's time to move on. Time to call it, you're good. Can't have a placeholder. So two reasons having an old couch wouldn't be good. It'd be better to be alone. So this couch idea, what if the old couch is you? The relationship failed because of what things that you did. What would most people say about that old couch? They say, throw it out, it has no value. It's cheaper to just buy a new one than it is to repair this old one. But is that how the Lord looks at things? Does he look at things the way that we do? Is he all about just throw it out? Talking about some of these old couches, that was very interesting. We've all probably sat on an old worn out couch. When we were first married, we had an old couch. It didn't look like this. But yeah, I mean, some are so bad that there would be no value in this. It's sat outside in the weather. The material has been stripped off of it. It's, just no value. But do you think the Lord sees value? If we're like that old couch, does he see some value in that couch? In its current state? Probably not. What about this one? Maybe you see some value. Oh, there's some leather there. Maybe you can pull together a couple little pieces of leather you could reuse in something. Probably not. It's so weather worn and damaged that it just needs to be replaced. What about this little couch here? And not only is the couch bad, but the whole apartment looks terrible. Looks like it's probably part of Chernobyl, and where they had that nuclear meltdown. It looks like it's just total abandoned apartment, windows gone, garbage everywhere. So if you were the Lord, what would you do? Where would you start? Well, a few things. If the master is going to fix up, if you have a master upholsterer, and you're this couch, number one, the rebuilding process is not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be fun. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. It's, but it's going to be worth it in the end. The first thing is first, and you can't take this old couch into the upholstery's office and say, okay, I want to hang out. I'm going to bring all my friends over. I'm going to hang out on this couch. It has to be just you and him alone, just the two of you. You drop it off. So what does that process look like? Of course, you have to strip off all the old fabric here. You take off all the old foam, take out all the old staples and stitches, remove everything down to the frame so there's nothing left. Maybe even parts of the frame are so messed up or warped from water damage, smoke damage, fire damage, that he has to even rebuild parts of the frame. How much of us are good? How much of what we have inside of us is good in the sight of God? A lot of times he has to take away almost everything. So what does he have to do? Maybe he starts after everything's stripped off, he has to start, rebuilding parts of the frame, maybe the whole frame, who knows? Adding power connections, adding new foam, adding new fabric, adding new leather. But when he's done, he will have a masterpiece, something that you would be proud of. And you'd be shocked with what he can do. But how is it going to feel as he strips away, the businesses and the money, the wife, the girlfriend, the sex, the love of family, the love that you have from friends, the support group, and you have nothing left and it's just you and him. At that point, you have to say to the Lord, okay, it's just me and you. I'm ready for you to rebuild me into something that you want me to be. Remake me into your likeness. I want to be like you because I know the only lasting peace and happiness that can be found in life is being more like him and making decisions like he does, reforming yourself, building your character after his name, rebuilding your life, making decisions like he would make. So that in the end, what you have is a masterpiece, a, a, an amazing piece of furniture that people from all over would love to come and see, love to spend time in your home, sitting, visiting on this couch. Even the angels would come to visit, to instruct, to help improve your life, to build your character. So, bottom line, focus your life, your center, your foundation, not on a woman, not on a wife, not on money, not on a business. Center everything on him, and you will never be disappointed. You'll never be discouraged. You will never be left alone, abandoned. He will always be there. Let him make a masterpiece of you. Take advantage of this pain that you're feeling. Take advantage, improve yourself. Fill your life becoming more like him. Allow him to do his work.